A new lawsuit in Las Vegas could be worth billions of dollars. Billions. The question is, how much do you put into the value of 19 human lives that passed away due to C-19? The other question is, was it the property's faults? The other question is, who's suing who? What does this all mean? What is the union's role in Las Vegas? We're going to explain all of that. This is some behind the scenes type stuff that you guys might not even know happens. And I want your comments below. What's your opinion on the union? Do you look for the union label? That's an old advertising campaign from like 50, 60 years ago. Do you think unions are great? Do you vilify them? And do you think that the hotels did enough to protect the workers coming into Las Vegas? And if you guys like this video at any point, make sure you hit like, share, and subscribe, and that little bell so you know when I do the new videos. My name is Steven. I'm not leaving Las Vegas. I do a live stream every day and a video in the morning, and you guys can reach out and support me if you'd like. I have the Patreon where I just posted an early access video for my Flamingo room tour and walkthrough and resort review. It's finally edited. I did my best job. You guys also get photos I don't post anywhere else and an easier way to message me. And you guys can also hit up vegasfacemask.com. I never lose my face mask because it goes around my head and it hangs from my neck, and my wife makes them, and she'd be awfully mad if I lost one of these face masks. You guys can support the channel that way. We also have links to Amazon and also links to vegas.com, so if you're buying stuff online anyways, you go there, the prices don't change and they credit back the channel. But comment below, tell us what you think of the unions. Now, you got to understand the unions. We have to understand some of the history, okay? So I talked on the channel way back in March. I was talking about how Wall Street investment people were basically pausing the money they were giving to the properties. And you might say, why do the properties need to borrow any kind of money at all? Well, I mean, very rudimentary, basic stuff right here. And I'm sure some people will tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. But big businesses generally don't work off their own money when they're funding their business. They borrow money at a low interest rate from people who want to invest, and then those businesses conduct their business and they pay back that money and they make a profit off of the money that they got on the low interest rate. That's the way it's supposed to work. But when the C-19 virus hit and Carnival Cruise Line had a giant lawsuit and everybody was in the unknown and we didn't know, and we still don't know, but we know more than we did a few months ago, those casinos had their funding paused and they needed to submit plans and prove to Wall Street and investment companies and firms that they would be able to go forward and provide a positive and clean and safe guest experience. We talked on a video on this channel, one of my most viewed, that said this would change Vegas forever. And the plans included things like waiver forms electronically when people checked in, doctors on staff, temperature checks everywhere you went, luggage being UV scanned to kill viruses, and all these things like shipments coming into the back of the restaurants, having accountability from when it left the warehouse, people wearing masks in the kitchen at every single step, gloves, everything. Guess what? Never happened. None of this ever happened. Yeah, unfortunately, none of this happened, it seems, because that's what the culinary union is alleging. Or they're saying that some of it happened, but it just didn't happen the way that it should have. And 19 people, the culinary union and the bartenders union, alleging have passed away due to C-19 virus. Now, whether or not it's the responsibility of the actual casino properties for not doing what they said they were going to do, allegedly, I have to say that too, that's another thing that maybe we will decide in this lawsuit. But let's take a look at what's happening here. So the culinary union, now you might not be a union fan, but back in the day they had a role. You know, when workers were being treated inadequately, they would go and strike. Those companies would go out there with basically picket line strike breakers and beat these people. They would literally assault them. We're talking way back in the early 1900s. So the unions came in and organized the labor so they would be less, they wouldn't be mistreated by the companies. Now we have unions like the culinary, which take care of 60,000 people, which are the plaintiffs in this lawsuit, who make sure that there's a proper set of protocols in place, make sure the employees are getting good pay, and give them some of the best health benefits in the world. The culinary union is one of the best health benefits in the entire country, second only to the postal workers union. And they're alleging that 3 hotels in Vegas, Harrah's, Bellagio, and the Signature by MGM, so we now have 1 Caesars Entertainment property and 2 MGM Resorts International properties, didn't do their due diligence. I've heard all sorts of reports, and without naming hotel names because I don't know the facts and I don't have proof, I've heard that specific properties in Las Vegas are not temperature checking at the front desk when you check into your room. I've heard that some of them are not cleaning the rooms adequately. I've heard that a lot of them are just basically playing it loosey-goosey. And I can't prove any of that stuff, so I can't name the hotel names I've been told about. But that's also what the culinary union is alleging right here. So 60,000 people between bartenders and culinary unions are suing those three properties. They're alleging that they were not temperature checked in a lot of cases. Some of the people in the back of the kitchens, from what I've heard from some people working in these places, people aren't wearing face masks. They're using the whole health thing, say, I can't wear a face mask because of my health. And so your face mask is not being worn in the kitchen in some cases, we've been told. And that means that even if the server brings you the food, but the guy working back there is not, adequately healthy, that your food could still be infected. You touch your plate, you're eating, you touch your face. Oh, I got an itchy nose, you scratch right there, boom, guess what happens? You go home infected. And they're saying that because of all this and because of the hotels this is the big allegation right here, the properties and the management working in the hotels, because culinary is one thing, whoever's managing the property is another, because those property managers knew that employees were sick, didn't tell the other employees that guy was sick, people got sick and lost their lives. Now, what I have to say about this is it's simply strange to me. Now, this is the first time in the last 48 hours that we've heard that 19 people have lost their lives in the culinary union, and this is the first time we've heard about that. We've had over 500 deaths in the state of Nevada. In terms of population, it's pretty much equal to most places in the United States, and it's still tragic. But how are they pinning those on the property managers doing their jobs correctly and letting all the other employees know? It's hard to say. And at my work, working with different lawyers, we do advertising at a big magazine that gets published. I've asked a few of these folks. One of them specifically works as a specialist in workers' compensation claims and wrongful death suits when people do pass away on the job site. And, he told me flat out, he said, we have discussed this ad nauseum. There's no way for anybody to ever be able to prove that something that happened at the workplace was the responsibility of the company, just because of how communicable this disease that we're dealing with is. So it's going to be very, very hard for the culinary and the bartenders lawyers to argue with the court system and the legal system and say that it's the sole responsibility of the hotels. But this is just like a good grief double whammy Charlie Brown moment for MGM Resorts International in particular. Of course, last year they paid a massive lawsuit out towards the families for what happened on October 1st. And now they're facing another massive lawsuit that could be realistically in the billions of dollars if the courts decide to go that way. And do I ever think it's going to get to that level? No, probably not. See, these kinds of things take generally years and years to go through. It'll cost millions of dollars of legal fees on both sides before a court would actually interject and say one side is right, the other side is wrong, and award something and then tell the side that was deemed wrong to pay the legal fees of the other side. But it's probably not going to get to that. No, what it'll get down to is meetings between culinary leaders and the major hotel corporations and accountability. And a settlement will be made, and that settlement will go and it will be spread out amongst the lawyers that had to work and the people that were sick and the other people in the class action if this goes to a class action status. It's unfortunate, though, that we had to get to this point. It's unfortunate that I hear people telling me that people in the hotels aren't taking their temperature when they check in. It's unfortunate that all of these things had to happen to this extent because we really did think we were going into a cleaner, nicer, more sanitary, much more controlled Las Vegas experience. But it's really hard to play devil's advocate here to say the casino side. It can be a little bit difficult to control 10,000 people a day walking through a property, I suppose. But I don't think that makes it much of an excuse. But what do you think? What do you think about all this? Do you think that this is going to be just another thing that Vegas has to deal with? Do you think the culinary has any right to actually sue over this stuff? Do you think it's good to do a lawsuit, bad to do a lawsuit? What do you think about the unions in general? I want to know. Once again, my name is Steven. I am not leaving Las Vegas. I'm a Vegas blogger. Hope you guys would like, share, subscribe to the videos, hit the bell for the notifications, and then leave us a comment below so you guys can sound off what you think of everything. If your family is a union family and mom and dad worked for the unions and put the kids through college, that's awesome. And if you guys had a bad experience working for a union, you tell us below too. And if you guys want to support the channel, you can be in the credits just like these folks on Patreon. You guys can also head on over to vegasfacemask.com lvsteven.com, no S on the end. You guys can also hit up the links to Amazon, Teespring. We also have the Vegas.com. I'm losing it, man. It's been three attempts at this video. We also have the Vegas.com affiliate links. Now's the time in the video where I gotta go. So I say 3, 2, 1, click. So if you're ready for this, we go 3, 2, 1, and click.